I will send an army against Babylon, forcing the Babylonians to flee those ships they are so proud of. I am the Lord, your Holy One, Israel's creator and king. I am the Lord who opened the way through the waters, making a dry path through the sea. I called forth the mighty army of Egypt and all its chariots and horses, and I drew them beneath the waves, and they drowned their lives, snuffed out like smoldering candlewick. But forget all that. Wait a minute. Imagine being an Israelite, and God is just reminding you of where he's brought you from. He's reminding you of his faithfulness. He's just saying, hey, remember how much I care about you. And then he says, forget all that. Why? Because it's nothing compared to what I am going to do. For I am about to do something new. Somebody say something new. You know what? I don't like change. Anybody in here like change? Anybody like embrace change? I do not like change. I mean, I like steady. I like consistent. I like the same thing that I wake up at the same time. I got the same time, meal, everything. I like that. That's just who I am. I resist change. I'm the guy that goes to the restaurant and orders the same thing every single time. I'm tempted to try the carnitas, but why would I do that? The asada burrito has been so good to me all these years. You know what? There's risk in that, right? I am not leaving this restaurant hungry. What if it's not as good as what I always get? Right? I don't like change. I resist. My wife, on the other hand, opposite. She just tries new things, and I see her sometimes she'll watch something and she starts, are you ordering? Are you trying that new thing? She goes to the restaurant and she just tries something new, and I'm like, are you sure? Like, you want to take that risk? I don't like change. Here's my thought. My thought is this, that if you get what you know, then you know what you're going to get. Here's her thought. There's got to be more to life. There's got to be more to life. You know what I did is I found a survey that 80% of us do not like change. 80% don't like change. Here's why we don't like change. Here's some reasons why you and most of us don't like change. Number one is this: loss of control. How many controllers here? Loss of control brings change. Uncertainty, the unknown is scary. How about this one? We don't like change because of past resentment or past failures. Right? Lack of self-belief. Maybe you understand as I'm talking about change. Maybe you're recalling a time when you had some change in your life. Maybe you changed jobs and you know how difficult that was. Maybe you changed careers, or you've changed schools. Maybe you've changed cities. You moved to a whole new city or state, and you know how hard that was. The challenges of reestablishing yourself, the challenge of just of relocating. Maybe you've changed relationships. Maybe you were once married and you're not married anymore. Maybe you're in a new marriage, and that's hard because you didn't realize that your new spouse is messy. Toothpaste is everywhere. Change is hard. Maybe you lost a loved one. Maybe you've gained a loved one. This brother and sister, their life's going to change in a couple of months. They got a baby coming. Your sleep is going to change. Your eating is going to change. Your Your priorities change. Listen, it's safe to say that change is hard. But without challenge, there's no change. And without change, there's no growth. What the prophet Isaiah was saying to the people who happened to find themselves again in captivity. They found themselves again suffering, being oppressed. They found and the prophet is saying to them, change is coming. Change is needed. Because we just can't go through the motions again. We can't go through the obstacles of life. We can't go through the same stuff again and again. Why? Because there's got to be more. There's got to be more. So I want to talk about change and I want to talk about what God has for us. And so the question is, what do we change? What do we change? Here's what Paul said in Romans. Remember, we've been following Romans. We've been following Paul's really he's laying down Christian theology, doctrine, what we believe, why we believe it. He's talked about redemption. He's talked about healing. He's empowering the church to live this life for Christ. And so now here comes in Romans 12, here comes the how-to experience all of that life that God has for us. He says this. He says, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, his pleasing, and perfect will. So I submit to you this morning that in order to experience the good things that God has for us, his perfect will for us, his pleasing will for us, that we have to change the way we think. See, here's the truth. We give our lives to Christ and we got a new heart. We got a new spirit, but our minds stay the same. Our minds stay the same. And I want to tell you something, that your life is going in the direction of your strongest thoughts. Your life is going in the direction of what you think about the most. Let me show you another verse where Paul confirms that in Philippians 4:8-9. He says this, finally, brothers and sisters, fix your thoughts on whatever is true. Fix your thoughts on whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable. If anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And then keep putting them into practice, all that you learn from me. Then the peace of God will be with you. What is Paul saying? Paul is saying that our thoughts will shape our life. Our thoughts will shape our life. I'll prove it to you. Currently in my home, I have a leak somewhere. A water leak. Not good. It's outside of my house. And I've been troubleshooting. I've been turning off water. I've been trying to figure this thing out. And every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, I run outside and I go see if there's more water coming out. And guess what? There's water coming out. I am so fixated on this problem. And my mind keeps running. It keeps going to maybe my house is going to sink in a big hole. Maybe it's going to cost me thousands of dollars to figure out this problem. I can't sleep. That's what I think about all day. I'm thinking about it right now. Thanks for reminding me. I got to go home and I got to figure. It's been happening for a long time. My life is going in that direction. My strongest thought. Here's another example. Modern psychology has developed this new form of therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy. This breakthrough treatment has revealed that many problems, listen to this, many problems from eating disorders, relational challenges, that's marital, that includes challenges with our kids, our spouses, all relational challenges. Listen, addictions, forms of depression, forms of anxiety, all of these problems are rooted in faulty and negative thinking. The study concludes that treating these problems begin with changing our thinking. So, if the Bible and modern psychology are telling us that our lives are moving in the direction of our strongest thoughts, my question to you is, do you like the direction your life is going in? Do you like the direction that your life is going in? Here's the problem. Here's the problem for some of us. You see, we've had experiences in the past. We've had trauma. We've had hurts. We've had disappointments. We've experienced failure. We've experienced loss. We've experienced so many things. And so those past experiences, they're triggered in our memory bank to say, don't go there again. Don't touch that iron again because you will get burned. Don't touch that. Don't go that way. And so our past experiences prevent us from moving forward. Do you guys remember Max? Remember I told you a story about Max, and Max was a dog, and as a puppy, they put this electric invisible fence, and so they put this collar on him. So Max, as a puppy, would come to the edge of his yard, and when he would get to this line, he would get this shock, and he would come back. And then what he didn't know was that his owners had removed the fence and they took his collar off. But Max knew in his mind that he could only go so far. That line represented pain. That line represented, we don't go this far. And so Max lived his entire life just confined. And that's the same with you and I. As we live life, and then we come to the line and we experience something and we say, I'm not going to go that far anymore. I'm not going to get hurt again. I'm not going to experience that again. But I'm going to tell you today that this is not the life that God has for us. And I understand where the line of pain is. I understand that it's hard and it's difficult. I get it. But here's what we can't do. We can't stay back in that yard. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to draw a line and say, I'm not going back. I'm going to endure the pain. I'm going to do whatever it takes because God has more for your life. I heard this pastor say this morning on TV, he said, if you're coasting, if you're a Christian and you're just coasting, he said that you're going downhill because you can't coast uphill. And I don't know about you, but I've been downhill before. I know what it's like to take a break. I know what it's like to go a few days without talking to the Lord. I know what it's like to just feel dry and to feel like my life isn't growing. But you know what also I know? I know what it feels like to move forward. I know what it feels like to hear the word of the Lord. I know what it feels like to this morning we got watered in prayer. We got filled in prayer. I know what it's like because this is the life that God has for us. And we cannot believe the lie that this is as far as we can go. Who told you that? See, because a lie believed that it's true, if we believe a lie, then we'll live out that lie as if it were true. So what do we do with that lie? What do we do with that line? We engage it. We engage it. We don't hope it goes away. We engage it. Paul says, for we live in the world, we do not wage war war as the world does, the weapons we fight with are not weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. You know what a stronghold is? It's this fortified base. This is where in the Bible days, there was this compound, this huge cement thing. And when war broke out, they would put the most important people in this place, and you could not penetrate this place. That's a stronghold. And this is where our thoughts live. This is where the lies live, is that they're cemented into us. And Paul says we demolish strongholds, arguments, and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. Did you know that when World War II began, America did not engage? When it first began, we said, that's going on over there, and it didn't really directly impact us. But then there came a point when we realized that Hitler needed to be stopped, that this wasn't just their war anymore. And America sent 150,000 soldiers to storm the beach of Normandy. And on that beach, you know the story. Thousands and thousands of lives were lost. But you know what? Engagement was necessary because there is no other way to defeat evil. Engagement was necessary. And it's the same with the war and the lies in our minds. We have to engage. There is no other way to eliminate evil. We have to confront that evil. We can't remain neutral. This is affecting us way too long. Our lives are moving in the direction of our strongest thoughts. Here's the good news. That sounds like bad news. You can't do this on your own. We need the power of God to help us penetrate these thoughts. We need, the enemy would love this. This is what the enemy would, he would love to get us from moving forward. He would love to make us believe that your challenge in life, the thoughts that prevent it, that they are so strong, that they are so great that you cannot move forward. He would get us to believe that. But that's not the life that God has for you. And as I look around the room, I see the growth in so many of us. Like I said earlier, I see the steps, the leaps, the bounds. I see the steps, but I want to tell you that there's more. There's more freedom. Our vision is this. You see it on this board here. We want everyone to know God, to find freedom, to discover purpose, and then make a difference. We don't want to stop at just knowing God. There's more. There's freedom. Well, freedom from what? Well, freedom from all the mess that we've made through life. Whether you've made it or whether it was given to you or passed down to you. I told my friend, I said, there's an entanglement that begins to happen when we go from knowing God to discovering freedom. And then we begin to unravel what's at the core, the lies, the pain, the hurts, the disappointments, and we just begin to unravel slowly. Why? So we can live free. So we can finally cross that line without feeling any pain. And then when we're able to cross lines and grow spiritually, then what happens? Then we discover that God has made you for a reason, for a purpose. He didn't create us. He didn't send his son on the cross just so we can just barely squeak by, so we can live in a little box and just come to church and just know God. No, he created us because there's purpose. There's giftings inside of you. There's passions and there's abilities inside of you that God says that when he designed you, I'm just going to make you a little of this. Maybe you're smarter than others. Maybe Maybe you're more compassionate. Maybe you have the ability to hear, to translate the Word of God. Maybe He's designed you. He has an amazing life for you. But it begins with our thoughts. That's why Paul was so